The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish." Or what king marching into battle would not first sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king, advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, any one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
What does it cost to follow Jesus Christ? What does it cost you? It's the question that Jesus wants people to ask. Are you willing to pay the price of being my follower, of being my disciple? He has this statement in here, whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Clearly, following Jesus Christ is meant to be a heavy burden. But really, in our world, in our culture, in our time, is it? Does it really cost you much? I mean, the people at Jesus' time, when they, just to take on the name of Christian, to say that they were a follower of Christ, they were going to many times be abandoned by their father, their mother, their wife, their children, their brothers and sisters. They were going to be abandoned. They're going to have to be willing to give all that up to follow Jesus. Today, honestly, if you're walking around in a general crowd, most people probably presume that you're a Christian, because most people probably presume everybody is Christian. That's a reality of our culture. It doesn't cost us anything to be Christian. However, this scripture passage is closely related with my favorite scripture passage. My favorite scripture passage is Revelation 3:16. But everybody knows John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. You guys could probably do that one from memory. But Revelation 3:16 talks a little bit more about how God wants us to follow him. Revelation 3:16 says, "But because you are lukewarm, I will vomit you out of my mouth." Isn't that a pretty picture? There's another translation that chooses to use the word spew. "But because you are lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth." So, coming back to that question of what does it cost to follow Jesus Christ, what does it cost in today's world to be on fire for Jesus Christ? Not just to be a follower of his, but to really be on fire. Ooh, that's going to cost a little bit more. It's going to cost some time, some effort. You can't just be on fire willy-nilly. That just doesn't work. Those two are contradictory. You have to really pour yourself out of it. It means really diving into daily prayer. Not saint yet, but Fulton Sheen was known for saying that everybody needs a half-hour of prayer in their day, unless they're busy. If they're busy, they need a full hour. There's a lot to be said for that. But what would it cost you to actually commit a half hour of your day to prayer? What would it cost you? Well, some people are going, I'm not sure where I'd find the time for it. Some people, that's very true. Many of us, though, if we really stopped and thought about it, if you turned off the news and stopped watching the news every single day, you'd have a half hour to pray. And frankly, if you watch the news just once a week, you would probably get all of the information you've been getting every single day, or at least the ones that actually mattered. There just isn't enough news for 24-hour news. Watching the news every day, what kind of difference does it make in your life? Like, honestly, most of what you see on TV, most of the news that you read or hear, how much impact does it actually have on your life? If you watch the news just once a week, you get what matters, and then I will promise you that half hour of prayer will have an impact on your life. To spend a half hour every single day reading the scripture, talking to God about what's going on. It'll cost you your weekly news or your daily news, but you probably haven't lost much. Other people, you have a favorite TV show that you make sure that you see every night. Some people would binge watch them on Netflix, but if you're watching it on TV, you can just pause it, pray for a half hour, enjoy your show, and fast forward through the commercials. Again, what does it cost you? Commercials. Did you really lose anything? That's just to get the prayer in there, but what about really diving into serving? When was the last time you spent an hour serving somebody else? Like somebody just specifically you serving, not being part of a large group doing service, but just you spending an hour serving somebody else. Your neighbor, maybe a mother, maybe an older father, maybe it's somebody else's kids. When was the last time you spent an hour in service for someone? When was the last time you talked to somebody about Jesus? Ooh, that's probably the scariest one. You mean as Catholics we're supposed to talk about Jesus? Yes, we are. Not just the priest. We're all called to share what Jesus Christ has done in our lives. And that costs you your reputation. It costs to really be a follower of Jesus Christ. For each one of us, it's going to be different. These are just a couple examples of ways that we might be called to give something up for others, to give something up for Jesus Christ. But it's important to hear this line from Jesus. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. What's your cross? What is it that God is calling you particularly to do? To love him more, to follow him more closely. What favorite sin is he calling on you to give up? What is it that God desires you to give up for him? And then take a good look at that cross up there. Take a good look at that cross and see what he thought you were worth giving up. And ask deep in your heart, what am I willing to give up for him who gave up so much for me?